everyone from kind of right now, and then we can go back into the.
Oh, is it gonna be? Wow.
Everyone, please stand when I kind of come here. Panel will be seated. No, can she go back into the other door? Is that other door open? Can she get through?
Oh, come on. Look at this now.
Okay. You may be seated. Let the record reflect that the court is back in session and calls numbers M332608 and calls number M332610. Both cases are styled the state of Texas versus with sudden surprise. Stevens. Let the record reflect that Ms. Stevens is present in court with her attorney, Attorney Bruce Cobb. Let the record also reflect that the state is present with Assistant District Attorneys, Attorney Erica Porter and Attorney Kobe Hoffbar. State, are you ready?
State's ready.
Defense, are you ready?
Defense is ready.
And let the record reflect that the panel is also back in the courtroom. Ladies and gentlemen, our court coordinator is going to call some names. When she calls your name, please come around to the jury box and our bailiff will seat you in the proper seat. Ms. Redmond?
Good afternoon. When I call your name, please have a seat in the jury box. Iona Marie Ford Beverly.
Ms. Beverly, would you please come forward and Ms. Martin will show you what to sit.
Paul Reese Owen.
So when you come forward. Make sure you pick up the tag. You can put it on.
Melanie Ann Derio.
Ms. Terrell, you can follow the bailiff's instructions.
Joseph Charles Williams,
Williams. Follow the bailiff instructions.
Paul Wayne Benson,
Vincent.
Ramsey Connor Smith, Adeline Gail Nixon.
You have another one? Okay. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I must administer to you the second of the two oaths that I previously mentioned. So at this time, I need every one of you to raise your right hand. And then once I finish administering the oath, please say, I do. Do you and each of you do solemnly swear in the case, or the cases of the state of Texas versus the sudden surprise Stevens, that you will a true verdict render according to the law and the evidence, so help you God? He said, okay, you may put your hands down. Members of the jury, I will give you some instructions and a general idea of what to expect in this case. Every case is composed of facts and the law as it applies to the particular case. The facts come from the witnesses on the witness stand. The law comes from the statutes, codes, rules, and court decisions interpreting them and how they may apply to this case. You and I have equal authority, but it is divided authority. You are the sole judges of the facts, and I'm the sole judge of the law. You are the sole judge of the credibility of the witnesses and the weight to be given their testimonies. You can believe all of what a witness says, part of what a witness says, or none of what a witness says. As the trial progresses, the attorneys will probably make objections to questions asked by the other attorney of witnesses, or objections to introduction of documents or objects. This means that in the objecting attorney's opinion, there is a legal reason why the testimony or document or object should not be received by you. Sometimes I will simply sustain or overrule the objection. At other times, it may require a lengthy discussion outside of your presence. If that happens, I will either ask you to step outside for a few minutes or ask the attorneys to come up to the bench so that you can't hear the discussion on the point of law. The reason for this, as I told you earlier, you are the sole judges of the facts you receive, and I'm the sole judge of the law. I can't be with you in the jury room when you deliberate the facts. Therefore, you can't be present or within hearing when I deliberate questions of the law. The reason why I will sometimes ask you to step outside is because it is simply the most efficient way to do it. Otherwise, if we were to leave the courtroom, the court reporter would have to gather her equipment and take it with her. And the attorneys would have to gather their files, etc. The rulings I do make on questions of law in your presence are not evidence, and you are to disregard them. After all the evidence is in, and both the state and the defendant have rested their cases, the court will prepare and submit to you a written charge instructing you on the law in this case. We will then hear oral arguments from the attorneys. The attorneys have the right to make a summation of the evidence and make reasonable deductions from the evidence. Since the state has the burden of proof, it has the right to open and close the summation or argument. Until you retire to deliberate, do not discuss this case amongst yourselves, and under no circumstances should you permit anyone to discuss the case with you. Do not attempt to learn from any source outside of the courtroom anything about the facts of this case, nor attempt any independent investigation on your own. Don't visit the scene involved in the facts of the case. Don't read any reports in the newspaper or watch TV reports about the case. Do not make up your mind about this case until all the evidence is in and you have been instructed on the law. Don't take notes during the progress of the trial. Don't visit other courts during a break if a trial or other proceeding is in progress. The badges that the bailiffs have given to you, make sure you wear those badges at all times, identifying yourself as a juror in this case. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the panel, those of you who were not selected on this case, first of all, I would like to thank you for your time and your attention. I know some of you are disappointed because you probably wanted to be a juror on this case. But as you see, we only have a certain number that can be on a misdemeanor trial. Now, you did not waste your time because in our judicial system, we call a number of jurors, and some will be selected to sit as jurors on this case. And so I'd like to thank you for taking out your time to be here today. Now, I know that when you came here today, you looked over the courtroom door and you saw County Court at Law Number 2, Judge Terrence Holmes, and you probably said to yourself, oh, I'm in the right spot. This is Judge Holmes' court. No, this is not my court. This is your court. And so anytime that you're in the area, in the neighborhood of County Court at Law Number 2, you can come and have a seat in your courtroom. Now, you can sit in the area that you're sitting in. We call that the peanut gallery, but it doesn't mean you can bring peanuts in here and eat because this is not the Texas Roadhouse. But anytime you're in this area, please come and have a seat in your courtroom and see what goes on in your community. I like to say, I think it's better than watching television. And so when you're in the area, please come around and see what goes on in the courtroom. Now, our courtroom hours, as I mentioned earlier, is normally 9 to 5, but most of the work that we do is between 9, 12, or 9 and 1. Now, when we have our jury trials, they're normally on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and maybe it can go a little longer at 1:30. So if you want to see a trial, you can come here in person, or you can get our YouTube channel and you can see the trial or the court proceedings on YouTube. Now, our bailiffs have some letters that they're going to give to each and every one of you. Please take those letters and read. If you have any questions, would like to make any comments, just please drop us a line. We'll be happy to hear and read whatever comments that you may have. Now, your jury service is concluded. The district clerk's office may be still open. And if you need any excuses, you could go to the district clerk's office. If they're not open, you may have to call them in the morning, and they can tell you what you need to do. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the citizens here in Jefferson County, and behalf of the staff here in County Court at Law Number 2, we'd like to thank you for your time and attention. And again, anytime you're in the area, please come and have a seat in your courtroom. At this time, you are excused, and everyone, before you excuse, I'd like to give everyone a handshake, but under the circumstances, we still have COVID in our communities. I will give everyone an air handshake, is what I call it. Okay? So at this time, you're excused. Follow the bills, and everyone have a blessed day. Everyone, please stand as the panel exit the courtroom. Maybe see. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as I mentioned to you earlier, our courtroom hours for the trial is at 1:30. So we're gonna need each and every one of you back tomorrow at 1:30. At that time, what will happen is the state is going to read the information. The information is the legal document charging Ms. Southern with these offenses. They're gonna read two informations. She'll plead to each one. And then after that, the state will probably do an opening statement. The defense may do an opening statement. And then after that, the state will call their first witness. Once the state called their witnesses, obviously the trial has begun, and then we'll proceed from there. Okay, so at this time, I think we need to see that that tag. We might have to, you probably give it to the bailiff, and we're gonna see if we can get you a new tag, another tag, or if that one can be fixed. We're gonna need another tag. Okay. I'll tell you what. Just go ahead on and take that one. I think what we'll do, we're probably gonna get your number. Just have that with you, so when you come to the courthouse, they'll know that you are a juror in the case. Okay. So at this time, you're excused until 1:30 tomorrow, and when you come back tomorrow at 1:30, just stand outside the courtroom in the hallway. There's a possibility we may be handling some business in the courtroom, so you can't come in the courtroom. And so once we're ready for the trial to start, the bailiff will come out and get you, and then you're gonna have a seat in the same seats that you're sitting in right now. Okay? So everyone please stand as the jury exit the courtroom. You may follow the bailiff. Court will be in recess. This trial at 1:30 tomorrow.